Hi everyone, welcome to week 8. As we know, finals week. This is for MPA 585. My name is Amanda Hermio, and today we'll be going over the final tips and takeaways. And starting off, I want to go over 4 key things. It's going to be public goods. We're also going to hit on understanding market failures and externalities. Number 3 is essentially going to be economic disparities and public infrastructure. And 4, funding mechanisms for public services. And so beginning this course, I understood a very good grasp of, public goods, their essential value, what they brought to us as citizens, and understanding, who provides them, where do they come from, where's the funding from. So I understood that very well from my own government background that I have, from my own work experience. As far as understanding, the features that make it challenging for it in a public for a public good to survive in a private market, is essentially that public goods are efficiently and necessarily, rely on the government intervention. So this is very crucial, and so that's something that I definitely learned from, this course, is that understanding something like a street light is essentially very beneficial to everyone and would not survive in the private market because it benefits anyone. It's not excluding anyone from its value, but it's also, anyone can benefit it. And let's say, a homeless individual, or a better word for it would be transient, does not, pay into taxes because they can't afford it, but yet they still value from a street light and understanding its defense mechanism and, being a barrier of the light, as I talk about in my final paper. And so, this brings me back to understanding market failures and externalities. And I think market failures, understanding that in this course was very huge because for myself, I didn't really understand market failures to an extent as this course is very detailed. And so for me, looking at something like street lighting and public education, often leads to under provision by the market, and recognizing that essentially that it's important because it justifies, policies aimed at increasing supply of these goods, but to also achieve social autonomy outcome. And so when you have a market failure, and something that, it's what we kind of understand that, you know, it's coming from the context of the public good and the externalities, and you want to foster the positive externalities, and such as, the widespread benefit of all. And so those are things that, of course, I take forward with me from this course. And 3 is economic disparities and public infrastructures. So one of the most eye-opening things that I learned is how economic disparities after allocation of public infrastructures such as streetlights, can weather areas, especially during national disasters, timely upgrade, maintenance, and also, providing in lower income neighborhoods is often, sometimes neglected. Even myself on my own street, I noticed that there's only 2 lights versus if I went to somewhere like, let's say, Beverly Hills, there tends to be, maybe 4 or 5 on one street. And so you want to look at that and understanding the disparities, especially when it comes to taxes policies, but also public investment and the need to make for equitable policies, so that all communities benefit better from this public good, such as a streetlight. And so, in which, you want to reduce inequality, but also improve the overall social fare. And something that I talk about too in my paper is that, with streetlights, again, as we get further into the digital age, and having solar panel lights, certain things like that, and better maintenance for it, maybe we can start producing more streetlights in all areas, not just mostly in the higher income, but also in the lower income as well. And this brings me to point number 4 in understanding the funding mechanism for public services. Of course, I understood where a lot of our funding comes, which is taxes. As far as the breaking down of taxes, I kind of knew this from my own background, in public agencies and dealing with financial budgets, that, it's broken down into series of sales tax, special assessments, grant funding. But for something like a streetlight, this is broken down from property taxes, sales tax, special assessments, and then also city funding as far as where it's coming from. And so this is very important, especially in a lot of infrastructures, that these taxes are here to alleviate and also accelerate any sociable inequities. And so, for instance, relying on heavily property taxes may disproportion, benefits of wealthier areas and leading to sometimes uneven services and quality. And so this kind of brings me to number 5, which is, the political science and the intersection of economics. And so understanding from this course that, we looked at the intertwines of economics and public science, especially when it comes to policy making, and the theories such that public choice and collective action can provide insights into how an individual's preference and shape public decisions. This is an understanding that essentially is critical because it allows us to kind of analyze, policies, decisions, and overall how they kind of, justify and aim to not provide this public good, but also affect us later on and what goes into that. And so I know you probably hate to hear this, but I've been saying this probably all semester is, why? What is the lesson and why does this course matter? And for me, I think, knowledge is power, and some of the insights are very crucial that this course had provided me, especially when it comes to economics. And you always want to know economics because, again, knowing your surroundings and knowing your environment is very crucial, and economics is like number 1 at the top, especially at the principles of intersects for public policy, shaping quality of life for individuals, and especially in communities. I think I know a lot of you work at cities such as myself, and so we understand how, what we do in an organization can affect an entire city around us that, we are facilitating. And so this kind of highlights the importance of government intervention, but also correcting any market failures, the role of taxes, the role of policies, and then also the resource allocation. And so these things kind of address economic disparities and also promote fairness and sociable equity. And so these things are essentially, very essential concepts for everyone in the public administration to understand, especially when it comes to policy making, and also just understanding the mechanism, understanding where they kind of interlies, in your organization and what goes on in the economic development of your own community. So those are just some key things that I learned and that are pretty big takeaways for me. But thank you again for listening to my videos. This is actually my last video. I'm actually going on to the comp exam, so thank you to everyone who I've been a part of for this whole entire series, but also, to the professor and to this course. So thank you.